But I remember my dad telling me stories about, when they first moved here, he was selling rice cakes on the street. And then this one guy was so mean to him. Shout out Mr. Carmack.
Yeah, you were like in a studio with him.
He came to my house.
Oh, wow.
He was so nice that he didn't know who I was. He didn't know who we were. We were way too small to be anything. Are we gonna die? We're not gonna die. We'll just cross. Fuck it. We're crossing. We're not gonna die. Bye.
Hey guys, today I'm here with Morgan.
Hello.
From Slumberjack.
Hi, Lauren.
So you were born in, is it Borneo?
I was born in Borneo. Yeah, that's right.
Were your parents from there?
My parents are from, I think my grandparents are from China. They moved to Malaysia, and then my parents met there, and then I got born in Borneo. So that's above Kalimantan. It's like a pretty big island, and we're about 2 hours away from Kuala Lumpur.
What was your parents' career that brought you to Borneo?
I think it was mining first. Oh. My grandparents, yeah. So
that's cool.
Mining, and I think just general escaping the whole communist China thing.
Right, yeah. Was it just so both your parents, but then how about all your relatives? Did they move as well?
Let me see. No. So my grandfather moved to Malaysia, and then he had 13 kids.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. 13. So I have a few cousins, probably 30 cousins or something like that.
Damn.
I don't remember all their names though. I mean, I know them.
Yeah.
Right? So shout out cousins. But it's so hard to remember everyone right now.
Do you have many memories, or did you spend many years in Borneo?
Yeah. So I spent up till I was 18.
Wow.
Yeah. I moved to Australia when I was 19. Stayed in Australia till recently, and we just moved to LA.
Just crazy, yeah.
3 weeks ago, yeah.
I'm trying to think. I think I've been to Borneo on a school trip, but we probably did super different stuff to what you do.
Let's see, what do we do?
As a local.
What do we do in Borneo?
What do you do outside of school?
Because we came from a super Asian background, I think I did a lot more studying and arts and tennis. Are we gonna die? We're not gonna die. We'll just cross. Fuck it. We're crossing. We're not gonna die. Bye. No, okay, so basically I go to school. School starts at 7:30. We finish at 4 p.m. And then by 5, I'll be in the car. My mom would have food ready, so I'll eat that, go straight to either golf lessons.
Oh, wow.
Or art, or music, or extra classes. So I really finish my day at about 10 p.m. So I just go to bed and I wake up and repeat. There are days where I wake up a lot earlier, so my dad would wake me up at 4 or 5, and we would play golf, and then after golf I'll go straight to school and start my day at 7:30.
Were you competitive?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. For how many years did you do a lot of competitions?
I did debate competitions.
Oh my god.
I did theater, drama. I did a lot of sports. I was the house captain. I had to play a lot of golf. My dad enrolled me in a lot of competitions as well. What else? Rubik's Cube things. Chess.
Really? Competitions?
Yeah, I just gotta do all of it. Gotta make your family proud.
Yeah. How do you describe yourself back then?
Boring.
Really?
That's all I did.
But you do a lot more than the average kid, though.
No, I think I do about the same as an average Asian kid.
Yeah, Asian.
Yeah,
that's the
right?
thing.
But let me see, what else? I did force my parents to let me learn the piano.
Oh, really?
That's a weird one, right?
Yeah, because normally Asian parents
usually Asian parents would force you to play a certain instrument. But I saw a kid play The Godfather's theme when I was, I think, 10 or 11. And it took about a year or two to convince my parents that I want to learn how to play the piano.
That's so rare, and they're pushing you to do other stuff.
Yeah. So my dad was like, okay, if you're going to learn the piano, you're going to have to drop something else, right? I go, no, we don't have to. We just have to add on. I don't have to, have a lot of time. And my dad goes, all right, prove to me that you can get 400% on 4 units. So 100% on 4 units in high school. And the rest has to be A's, so above 80%. So on top of that, I need 400s.
Yeah.
And I had to maintain that for every month to continue my piano lessons. If I dropped that level of I guess, academic qualification, I stopped the piano lesson for that month.
What?
So I proved them enough. After 6 to 8 months, I think, my dad said, okay, you're not in this just to like screw around, so you can continue your lesson.
Why were they so hesitant about piano? That's like the most PG thing you could do.
I know, but he was like, because at the time I was doing taekwondo already.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're gonna do piano, you have to quit taekwondo because that's bad for your knuckles.
Oh,
to play competitively,
okay,
right? And then he goes, if you're not doing taekwondo, you're not going to be fit enough to play good golf. So
I mean, this contradicts, I guess, to him.
Right. So he's not about not playing piano.
Yeah.
It was more about him trying to make sure I can do everything and complement all the stuff I'm doing at the same time.
But I guess they were pushing you in a really academic way then.
Yeah, we didn't come from a family with a lot of education. My generation was the first generation to do tertiary studies.
Oh wow!
So me, my sister, and my immediate first cousin, we are the only ones that got actually finished high school.
Wow!
And then gone on to do other stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone else kind of just did the whole tradey thing and just kind of came up as they learned. As I grew up. So it was kind of tough. But I remember my dad telling me stories about, when they first moved here, he was selling rice cakes on the street. And then this one guy was so mean to him. He was a kid and told him he'll give him $1 if he could eat all the rice cakes he had on his table.
Yeah.
So my dad tried to eat the whole thing to get $1. Wow. But he couldn't finish it, so the guy didn't give him the $1. And my dad ate half the stuff he was supposed to sell.
Oh my god.
And then he's supposed to go back to my grandma, and I think he got a beating too.
That's crazy though, but from moving on from that to like their careers in mining, that's really impressive.
Yeah, so very, very impressive. At some point, I think at one point too, my grandfather started as a taxi driver. As well, yeah.
I think I read somewhere that they listened to a lot of like classical music, or like what kind of music did you grow up listening to, like that they were playing? My
dad listened to a lot of like just typical old stuff, like old people music, like Air Supply.
Old people music.
Air Supply. Who else? That's no. And then he started listening to this pianist, Richard Clayderman. And from there, I was like, oh, I really like the sound of piano. I think that's where it started building. And it was just piano and world music. My mom would like to play Tibetan Buddhist chants in the car. And Hakka too. So Hakka is it's in the province in China. I think Foshan, and she would have CDs of those monks or temples, and she would just play that. Yeah.
Do you think that influences the music you make now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. After that, I got this huge love for world music, and I joined this band called Kanid in Borneo, and we played a Rainforest World Music Festival.
Oh, how old were you?
Man, I was, I think 16 or 17, or less, 15 or 16.
Damn.
Yeah, so for those 2 years, I miss those guys. We're like a bunch of really close friends. And I think from there on, doing electronic music, all I could hear was world music. So it's almost like a cop-out for me first, because I didn't have the skills to make crazy sounds on synthesizers, and I was just grabbing sounds off YouTube that I'm familiar with. Yeah. And then putting a beat underneath it. It's not until I met Fletcher that he showed me a couple of like production tricks. So then there was this whole mixture. So I was teaching him stuff and he was teaching me. I think that's where the whole Slumberjack thing came about.
Where do you think you get your creative side from if your parents aren't that creative?
My dad is a great musician.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. He was supposed to be a musician. He was actually on the way to Boston for the Berklee College of Music years ago. This is before I was born. And he got to, I think it was Hong Kong or Taiwan, and then he had a freak out moment. So he threw the ticket away, flew back to Malaysia, and kept doing business. So I felt like,
oh my God.
I feel like he deliberately let that dream go to make sure I could have mine.
Yeah.
So it's pretty noble.
Yeah.
You know, because at that time, I think being a musician isn't as lucrative as being a musician now. Back then, he was just a kid with, not a lot of education, but great musicality. He threw that away just to make sure he did the right thing made some money for the family so we could have an education, we could have, fulfill our dreams.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. What instrument did he do?
Piano too.
Oh.
And he can play the sax as well.
Damn.
So like jazz.
Yeah.
So I would go back and I would jam with my dad on the piano. I'll be on like the bass registers, he'll be on the top soloing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he still kicks my ass though.
That's so awesome. Has he like mentored you in a certain way?
So when I did my first piano lesson, my dad already. Yeah, so actually, if to think back now, he wasn't not supportive of the piano thing. He just wanted to make sure I would keep on doing it. He actually bought the piano in day 2.
Oh, wow.
Now if I think about it, I'm like, if he bought the piano day 2 after my first lesson. So he literally just sat down and taught me the Godfather's theme. Because that's one I was like, I want to play what that kid played. So within 5 hours, I was actually picking it up. He was teaching me a really simple version, but I was playing with 2 hands within 5 hours. I was like, this is the craziest thing ever. I remember that ride because when you start learning how to play the piano, you couldn't, I think a person couldn't separate their left brain and right brain to control left hand and right hand.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
So when I was finally able to let that go on autopilot within 5 hours, because my dad taught me this like simple trick, I remember that feeling. I was just looking down my fingers going like, oh my God, they're doing the thing. They're doing that cool, spidery thing.
Yeah.
It's so dope.
Oh.
And I think from there I just kept going. So yeah, he taught me a lot.
Was it always you two, like you and your sister, or did you have other siblings?
No, it's just me and my sister.
How did you, so she realized that she had synesthesia and then you realized that you had synesthesia, or how did that happen?
Oh, with synesthesia, my sister first spoke up about it, and it was kind of weird. My sister first came up to me and she hit a note on the piano. It was C sharp. And just like, does this like taste funny to you? I was like, whoa. Okay, I thought I was the weird one. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, it tastes like a ball with like spikes on it.
Right.
And it's on my tongue.
Wait, how old were you?
She was like 7. She was
pretty early on.
This was like an organ that we had in the house, but it wasn't really working, and only a couple notes were working. Yeah, an organ. And I wasn't playing the piano yet. I wasn't playing anything yet. My dad was just like, oh, this is an old organ from my grandfather. We just leave it there as like a heirloom kind of thing. And she'll hit a note. She's like, it's like a ball with spikes on it, and it's red color. But she couldn't taste the actual taste. She could feel the texture on the tongue and the color. I tasted that C sharp too, as like a red gummy bear. So I can see where she's coming from. I was like, it's not as spiky for me. It's kind of furry, and it has that like cranberry taste.
Yeah.
And my sister started drawing. She's like, this is what it looks like, right? So we started having fun with like this, and like she would hit a note and go, okay, I'm gonna draw something, and you're gonna write something and see if it fits. And it's very common that we nail the same color tone. If it's not yellow, she would say yellowish green, and like sour, and she would go like tart,
But do your parents have this, or just you two?
No, it's just the both of us. Kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then from there on, I thought it was just normal until recently.
Oh really? Until recently?
Yeah. Until recently, I just thought people are like, that's just weird that you think it tastes a certain way. And then I think that's where people start knowing about my synesthesia.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pharrell has it too.
Yeah.
A lot of musicians actually have it.
What about the music you make now? Do you think it's changed from the beginning music, like with the taste-wise?
Yes. I think we are always around the flavor of elderflowers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like elderflower drinks. You know the taste of elderflowers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're on the right path if most of the records we make taste around that taste.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
So when I go into the studio, if it's something tastes like elderflower to me, I go, okay, this can be good.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
It's weird.
So you study was it business, finance type stuff?
Finance and accounting and economics.
Was that something that you were interested in yourself?
No, it's just because I'm Asian.
Damn. Wait, were you good at these subjects in high school?
Yeah,
like math and...
I was really good at math. I really enjoyed solving equations, and that's what I thought
Yeah.
was gonna do, make some money and make a life out of doing that. But it wasn't until going to Australia I realized, I think it's more common in first world or developed countries to preach art and the follow your dreams motto.
Actually, with that move, did you feel any like culture, like you couldn't fit in?
Oh, people stick their chopsticks in their rice. I can't stand that.
That's like bad. It's like you're gonna commit suicide, right?
That's a funeral.
Oh.
It's a funeral offering.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Death related.
And oh yeah, death related. Yeah. Or people putting their shoes on the table.
Oh, is that a thing?
In Australia,
wow.
Like before they get changed, they just put it like,
really?
Don't think of the table. So
yeah.
In terms of culture, I see that as like a heavy disrespect to the table.
Yeah.
This is where you put your food. Don't disrespect it by putting your dirty ass shoes
yeah, exactly.
on the table. It's a couple things, and then I kind of assimilated really quickly because I just wanted to be welcomed. It's always this feeling of being the foreign kid on the block.
Yeah.
And you just try to hang out. I make a point to hang out with the locals, like Australians.
That's really cool.
Yeah, as much as I can.
Did you meet lots of music friends early on when you moved there? Or?
I was lucky. I have this friend in Perth. Two of them actually. They came up to me and go, "Oh, we heard you practice in the dorm piano the other day," because we were lucky to have a music room in our dorm in my first year in Perth. And he was like, "You want to come and jam?" So he lent me his guitar. Yeah. Another guy, one of my best mates, lent me his keyboard. So I started picking it up and practicing again. I was ready to let that all go. I was ready to forget all about my music training and my classical studies. So it's very lucky, and I feel really blessed for them to, it's such a simple gesture, just handing me the guitar. I was like, oh shit, I can play something again.
Yeah.
So I started practicing, and from there on, we just started jamming together. We did weddings, as in play and sing.
Oh my God.
No, playing,
wow.
covering Jason Mraz and what's that song again? All the other kids with the pumped up
I know what you
kicks,
mean.
you better run. Yeah, I remember that song. We were just covering those stuff, and it was super fun. And then from there on, it was just straight up. They were like, "Oh, you should just pursue music." So I just kept going.
Did you put out stuff before Slumberjack under
No.
a different name?
Yeah.
People gonna find it?
Actually, interview yesterday, I actually found out. I tried to delete everything of the internet, but they found out anyway. I actually put out some electro big room remixes of I think it was a Laid Back Luke track. There was a Skrillex track that I really enjoyed. Oh, it's Make It Bundum. That's the Damon Marley one.
Yeah.
I think, and no one heard of it. It's that bad. It's so horrendous. It's only after I met Fletch we started to...
You never tried to push yourself to even send to music blogs and stuff?
No, because I know it's not good. I needed to walk before I could run.
Yeah.
So it wasn't good at all. It really sucked. But there were moments where I really didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what a reverb was. Until I met Fletch. He goes, all I could explain is that sound, once you apply reverb, you instantly add powder to the taste.
Interesting, yeah.
And he goes, oh, okay, that's diffusion. You put that sound in a room, hence it sounds like it's in a room. That's what a reverb is. And from there, things start clicking for me. I wasn't listening, I was tasting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing.
But you graduated with your finance degree, right? And you were starting to intern at Ernst & Young.
Yes.
Was that right after graduation?
Right after, I was given the offer to take an internship, and I decided not to do it on the day of the interview.
Oh my God.
I was like.
But your music got into already a certain point already, right?
We were going to the second electronic music conference in Sydney. We were given the spotlight artist position, it's like a title, like a delegate. So I was like, oh, this could mean something. Screw this interview. I can always come back.
Yeah.
I was doing rock climbing. after graduation. I didn't want to get into a job.
Oh, like full time? Like
yeah.
wait,
Yeah.
like as a hobby, or did you teach it?
I started teaching it.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So I started climbing full time and I started teaching it at just a local climbing gym. That's all I was doing. And then from there on, I did a Perth DJ competition, and I went on to win it. And I found out that Fletcher won the year before I did.
Wait, so how did your friends teach you DJing, or you taught yourself?
I taught myself how to DJ because I was DJing not with your typical equipment. I bought a launch pad, which is something with like a lot of buttons, and I learned how to connect that to the computer with Ableton, and I was doing like live triggering, and I was drumming on stage.
Oh wow!
I thought that was what DJs do. I really thought, because that was like my first thing. They were like, you need to play this kind of music. You got 20 minutes. You got to cover these genres. I go, okay. If I'm just gonna go up and press play, is that playing? Because I came from the heavy playing background. I was like, and I didn't know.
It's too easy for you almost.
It's not too easy. I literally thought there must be something else DJs are doing on stage.
Yeah.
And there is a lot that they're doing, like reading the crowd and choosing the right songs, but I was so engulfed in the whole I gotta play.
Yeah.
I literally chopped up all the songs I knew and I did a mashup on the pads. And then from there on, they couldn't judge me based on your typical DJing criteria, so they just, I think, let me have the championship.
Yeah.
Or the winning.
That's so funny.
It was like a blessing in disguise. I remember the first day I got there, and I was on day 2 on the competition. On day 1, I walked to the balcony to see what they're doing. I was like, oh shit, I really messed this one up. This is not what they're doing. Maybe I should, and I didn't know how to use the equipment at all. I was just like, okay, if I get kicked out, I'll get kicked out. I'll just do it.
What did your parents think of all this? And I guess becoming full-time musician.
My dad initially was like, are you sure? Like, this is exactly what you want to do? I go, I'm very, very sure. And I think that's all your parents want to know is whether you're going to commit to it and are you going to be okay.
Yeah.
So I go, just give me a year. If our music doesn't get out and get us our first check for money for living, I would quit and I will get a normal job. I'll get a regular 9 to 5 and I'll quit. Give me 1 year. And
you did it.
Yeah. I was like, shit. By the time I said that, it was like 4 months in and we had to still put our music out. And then we got signed to a label and our management picked us up. And from there I was like, oh
my God.
Finally.
At least you did what your dad set out you to do.
Yeah. And now we're in LA.
Yeah, and moved here.
We all moved here.
Going back to the Perth scene, you were kind of in a bubble, I guess, which is kind of like a blessing in disguise, right?
Right.
You were you weren't in the world trends or in Australia trends and stuff.
Not even in any trend. In Perth, it was so hard that if you were to go on the internet and listen to your favorite artist, they feel like a million miles away. So you kind of have to develop your own style.
Yeah.
So I think in Perth we have a few artists. We've got Taku.
Yeah.
Ourselves, got Zeke, Empire of the Sun, Tame Impala. These guys are all special in their own right.
Yeah.
Which I feel it's a lot to what do you say? With regards to the cultural difference, because we're so isolated.
Yeah, but also people in Perth. I think they're into different type of stuff like drum and bass or more band stuff. Grime.
They love grime.
Yeah. Was it hard to find your own local base, or did you really quickly go international Australia fans?
In Australia it's tough. Even not just being from Perth, just in Australia, being in Australia in general, because fans there are spoiled with a lot of good quality musicians and artists. So for us to find our sound, it took us a year of copying all our favorite artists. We literally had a moment where we're like, let's learn how to make all Skrillex music, and we did it. And we're like, we really like it, but that's not us.
Yeah.
And then there was a moment where we go, let's try to make all Flume music because we really love Flume. That's not us either. And then we tried to do Timbaland as well, and it's not us. So
how did you realize there was a specific song you made that you were like, wait, this is like totally
us?
Yeah.
It's when, shout out MR.CARMACK.
Yeah, you were like in a studio with him.
He came to my house.
Oh wow.
He was so nice that like he didn't know who I was. He didn't know who we were. We were way too small to be anything. But he's just such a humble and cool guy. He came with one of the friends that we also mutually know in Perth to just go, oh, I'm just gonna bring Carmack over to your house and chill out. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was really excited.
Yeah.
Then he just sat in the studio. I remember we had cookies together, and then he started just like, oh, you mind if I open your computer and let's start making something? So he started making a beat, and we started working on something together. And I realized, I looked at his workflow so closely, and I realized he was doing everything that we would deem wrong.
Oh, that's interesting.
So Fletch and I are very book people too.
Yeah.
We read a lot. We like to use numbers and analyze everything. Having to meet MR.CARMACK and him just completely destroying that idea and go, you just go with the flow. Whatever sounds good, you do it, even if the meter or whatever you're trying to read is telling you it's wrong.
Yeah.
Just go by what sounds the best and feels the best. So from there, I was like, this is insane because what he's doing looks so wrong, but sounds so good. And from there on, I think we found our sound, like from that day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. From that day, we just started to like, just do whatever we want to do and kind of use his workflow. I think we're still very far away from what he showed us, but we're getting there.
Now that you've moved to like LA, are there like any specific things you want done, or like how you see your career progress now that you're here?
I think being in LA makes it easier to meet up with people. I think that's the idea, you know, in the beginning why we decided to move to LA, is that we can just call up anyone else and go into the studio whenever.
Yeah.
So that's really important for us to, not just the idea of collaboration, but I think Fletcher and I are more concerned with learning. So whoever we jump in the studio with is, you know, a song might come out, a song might not come out, but hopefully we get to learn something, we also get to teach something. So from there, I think every it's a win-win, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. In Perth, it's a little bit hard because, you know, not enough people.
Yeah, same as me growing up in Hong Kong, like no one comes through.
Exactly. Yeah.
Last question, what do you want to be remembered for?
Oh, my music.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. That will be my legacy, I hope.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.